afternoon, class. Today we will be interviewing Miss Janiece Benefield.
Hi, everybody.
I'm going to let her do an introduction and then we'll hop into the questions. Ms. Benefield, would you like to introduce yourself today?
Yeah, so as Ms. Bass, Professor Bass just said, I am Janiece Benefield. First and foremost, thank you for having me today. I am coming to you by way of Fulton County. I am currently a SDI coach here, and basically that means specially designed instruction. And in layman's terms, I'm a special education coach in which I help special educators become even better teachers through different methodologies and learning modalities so that I can help the students. I am also owner of Empowering You Education Services, and it is a tutoring as well as education consulting business. And that's my baby, y'all. So I am ready to dig into some of these questions.
Awesome. All right. So our first question is, why do you think it's important to incorporate positive behavioral interventions and support in schools?
Yeah, so as I put in my bio for you guys, I was a previous PBIS coach. And I think that positive supports and interventions are so important because I feel like as educators, we often teach the core subjects. So we know we have to teach math, we know we have to teach reading, all of the core subjects, but behavior is also something that is taught. You are a child, you are walking into several different environments. In the elementary setting, we have all of those classes. You might have a co-teacher where you have a special education teacher in your room as well. You go to specials, and that means you're doing PE, you're doing music, art, all of these different places. And you need to know how to behave in each area. So as the PBIS coach, it allowed me to be that leader in the school that provided rewards to the students, and not only to the students, but also to the teachers to get them actively engaged. So regardless of what setting they were in, they knew how to properly behave in that setting. And when they did that, they received rewards. So similar to how we come to work and our reward is our paycheck, it is the same thing when it comes to PBIS. You're coming to school, with the schools that I work in are not coming from always the best environment. And we want to show you how to act in our setting. So I truly feel like it's important.
Awesome. Okay. During COVID-19, was it difficult for you to provide instruction virtually to students than in person?
Yeah, so I saw that question. That was a good question as well. I am no longer a teacher in the aspects where I am providing education to students. I am more of the coach that helps those teachers provide education to students. And guys, it was difficult to say the least. COVID truly changed everything. So I have teachers on my caseload that are first year teachers, brand new, fresh out of the water. So they are the easier teachers that it was easier for them to be molded a bit because this was all they knew. But I have the veteran teachers that have not used their laptop other than for email, that knows how to type in a YouTube video, and that's about it. And they had to truly change everything. They had to learn how to use Zoom for some of those Zoom meetings. They had to learn how to use Microsoft Teams because that's what we adapted as a county for the students to be taught. So learning how to navigate that, keeping those students engaged at home, I had to assist with all of the above. And now on top of that, the level of fear that was not only in the teachers, but as well as the students, and not being able to have that wherewithal to even understand what was going on in the world because we didn't understand. So I would say virtual teaching is probably the hardest thing the educators had to do. My hat goes off to them. But even as a coach, it was very difficult.
In regards to virtual instruction, how did COVID-19 impact your business?
So COVID-19 impacted my business, but not as much as I think that it would impact a business that had been going on for years. So my business is my COVID baby. That's what I call it. And I opened up my business April 29th, 2020, knee deep into COVID. So again, just like how I referenced those first year teachers that didn't know anything and this was their new normal. Same thing with me. It was basically a person opening up a business in the middle of a pandemic and already kind of knowing what to do just based on my education background and how I was helping my teachers. So I was able to provide parents with the virtual aspect and being able to pub that first and, you know, kind of reel them in that manner. Like we provide virtual tutoring, but we also do tutoring 6 feet away in your home. And them having that option, I think helped. I will say that it affected my business in the sense financially because parents were not able to pay for tutoring. It was not a priority when there were so many people losing their jobs, when there were so many people, you know, unfortunately catching COVID-19, the fear of having it. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So I think that, or my prayer is I get more business now that things are kind of slowing down because tutoring was not a priority for the parents.
Okay. What made you pursue multiple degrees at Valdosta State University?
Well, Valdosta has a special place in my heart with it being my alma mater. I started off in Valdosta. I have a small background in theater. I went to a performing arts high school, and my junior year of high school, I ended up being accepted into something called the Governor's Honors Program, and that's where the number one, you know, students in the arts all go to Valdosta to perfect their craft for 6 weeks. And I truly fell in love with the campus. I am one, you know, that has to adapt to change slowly. So I do think seeing the campus helped me out just a little bit and getting that 6-week preview. But the way that they treated me there, just as a high schooler, I knew that once I went there as a college student, it would be even better. And I wanted to just continue to go there because I valued the education, similar to how I'm sure how the students value you, Professor Bass. So that is why I love myself some VSU.
One thing about the multiple degrees, I do know that at the time of your enrollment, the master's degree was a 5-year program. So you can go straight from your bachelor's into your master's, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So at the time that has since changed due to the strenuous work, but I had, it was a 5-year master's program in which I went my 4 years completely just focusing on the dual degree of early childhood as well as special education. And then in that final year, I had the student teach in 2 different settings, one in the early childhood setting, which I did a tag 3rd grade class, and then one in the special education setting where I did multiple grades, upper grades. And it was a pretty smooth transition. And then I think the part that I liked about it the most was the fact that it was 5 years, so I wasn't actually employed. And then I became the crazy woman that I am and decided to go back to get my specialist degree while teaching. And although that was a bit of a challenge, again, with knowing some of the professors, with knowing how Valdosta runs, with knowing BlazeView and how to work online systems, it just became easy. So with, you know, a person that I, you know, slowly adapt to change, and I'm so here for it, but it's something that, you know, it's something that I'm working towards getting better at. Valdosta just came easy to me because it was so familiar.
Okay. Now, kind of going back on your student teaching, one of the questions that someone submitted was, what is your favorite age group to teach or tutor?
Oh, my favorite age group, guys. My sweet spot is 3rd grade. You will hear a lot of educators that are from the early childhood field. They might say 2nd, but 3rd grade is my baby. And although that is the grade that they first started testing, as far as like the Georgia milestones and the other standardized tests, I feel like those are the students that are independent enough to do things on their own, but they still love you. You know, so you have the fifth graders that they get a little too grown, but you know, I love them because they know how to take the sarcasm and the jokes and all of the above. But third grade was that sweet spot as far as the standards I enjoyed teaching, even when it came down to social studies and science, which were not my favorite subjects in school, but it was fun. The people that we learned about, the wars, Susan B. Anthony, Frederick Douglass, like those were the standards at the time. And then that's the grade that they learned multiplication. So I was able to kind of teach them the tricks and the trades and, you know, get to be that person that they first experienced major things with, and that's standardized testing and some of those standards. So that's my happy place. The kindergartners, God bless their souls, but that was totally different for me when I taught K through 3, because all of this stuff was new to them. So I could say line up to some third graders and they knew how to line up, and then I had to show them the line up the Miss Benefield way. You know, make sure you do this in the hallway. So it was small, but kindergartners are like, line, what's that? How do what do my hands do? And you are just having to teach every aspect, how to move, how to walk. So although I loved myself some kindergarten, third grade, that right there in the middle spot was my happy place.
Okay. What influenced you to start Empowering You Educational Services?
I actually, you know, not to pub bass consulting, but having a friend so close within the business realm was the first thing that, of course, inspired me. But another thing that inspired me too was I was working for another tutoring company. And I'll make this story quick, but I crack up every time. I was working for another tutoring company in which I would go to parents' houses and tutor for them as a third party person. So I'm the person right in between. They send me the people, I go. And it was one parent that could not afford the prices of the tutoring company. And she said, "Do you tutor on the side?" And me trying to be the business mogul that I want to be in the future, I ended up saying yes. I had no idea what I was doing on the side, but what I knew was I knew how to tutor, but I did not have a business just yet. And she asked me what my prices were. And all I could think about was what was something be competitive, but not too much. And, you know, don't sell myself short. So at the time I was getting $30 an hour, and I did not want to do too much. So I told her 32, you know, I was like, I'm going to get $2 more on the system. I'm going to get this. So I told her $32, and she goes, "Oh my God, where do I sign? Because the other tutoring company is trying to charge me 56. I said, 50 what? 50? So guys, that means that I could have said $40. She would have been happy. I could have said 45, 48. I could have even said 52. But the fact that I went all the way down to $32, I literally in that moment was like, I have to do this on my own. They are out here, you know, paying me $30, but making 56 or more off some of the students that I was tutoring. And I was like, I think that I can venture off and do this on my own. And through Bass Consulting, of course, that helped me formulate everything I didn't know, like forming my LLC and all of the business stuff behind it to actually get it afloat. But that pivotal moment was when I said, I'm going to be making this money on my own. I am.
Do you have any employees, or do you do all the tutoring yourself?
So now I have employees. I have ventured off into being the person that kind of just sits back. And now that company that I just told you about, I'm that company, guys. I'm that company. I am that person that, you know, they come to me, they ask, can they tutor? Who do I have for them? And then I'm the person that sends them out to other places. So, you know, feel free for any of your tutoring needs. If you have anybody out there, Empowering You Education Services is the way.
So do you only work in the Metro Atlanta area, or if someone needed virtual tutoring because they're not in the Metro Atlanta area,
Absolutely. Excellent question. I do only do in-home services in the metro Atlanta area. However, due to COVID, with them, with us catching the new wave of Zoom and other different online services, we now offer virtual tutoring, which means you can be anywhere in the world and receive services from us.
Cool.
Yeah.
The next question. What was or is your favorite thing about being a school improvement coach?
Oh, I think that I like the aspect of being the person that can change lives behind the scenes. What kind of stopped for me as far as becoming from being a teacher to now a coach, as a teacher, you're on the front line. So you are the person that the parents give gifts to, the parents are calling, the students are seeing in the moment, you're getting that action, you're working with them, you're seeing the changes on a normal and consistent basis. But now I am the person that I'm behind the scenes. So I'm that person that before they teach that lesson, me and the teacher have gone over it together. We've pulled all of the resources. We've analyzed the data. We've said this particular student has a cognitive deficit of executive functioning. So for them to have this particular cognitive deficit, this is how I need to teach it. I am the person that gives those resources and different skills and all of the above for the teacher to execute a lesson that can change a student life. So it was something that I had to slowly get into because I miss the baby. Right now I'm talking to you all in the office by myself versus the teachers right now just finished lunch and are now teaching another lesson. So I do miss that. I miss the hugs and I miss the knowing who my name is, not, hey teacher, that lady here to help you again, which is what I received. But being that, I guess, puppet master, for lack of better words, that person behind the scenes to help them is truly what brings me the most joy.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And I think it speaks now, kind of thinking about your question of, do I still tutor or do I have, people going out? It's slowly showing me that I am that person that enjoys being behind the scenes. And I don't think I knew that about myself. Coming from that performing arts background, you are center stage. You are, depending on the role, the star of the show. As an educator, you're the star of the show. And now, not only in my business, my side hustle, as well as what I do professionally for my career, I've now taken a step back. And I think just on this Zoom call, literally just now at 1:25 p.m., I realized, wow, you are not in front anymore, and you like that too. And I'm still able to see the changes. And I think that brings me the most joy, honestly.
Being that this class is about Black social capital, I have a two-part question.
Yes.
The first part is, have there been any educators or administrators of color who kind of guided your career or helped you get to where you are?
Ooh.
And the second part of the question would be, as a Black professional, how do you feel like you use your network to help others?
Excellent question. So I'm going to start off with that first part. I work in Title I schools, and with Title I schools, that means these are the students that receive free and reduced lunch, and mostly students in a economically disadvantaged background. So it's a lot of us in the building, and being able to not only work in Fulton County in those Title I schools, but I also have a fun fact of I am a product of Fulton County. I think that growing up and seeing those Black people started my influence. And then literally then becoming an adult and having administrators of color as well as other teachers of color helped me as well. I did have one administrator who was Caucasian, but she also knew the struggle. And I feel like that she was a great ally within our community, and an excellent associate, being a mother of Black children and married to an African-American male. I think being in those Title I schools, it showed me that although she was a different race, she knew some of the things that we were up against and was willing to tackle it. So seeing how she did that, and even with her being the minority in a sense, and seeing how she was able to overcome certain things made it even easier for my way to be paved. And I even have to thank her for the position that I currently have. She was able to use her power, her privilege, to assist me with getting this interview, and then I sealed it in from there. So I've had a great sum of mentors and people to help navigate me in my education career, which is excellent, because not only was it black people, but I've had people of all races, and to be surrounded by the Blackness, they had to adapt. And with them adapting and being those allies for us, it just made it for a smoother transition. As far as your second question, me paying it forward, I definitely pay it forward. So much so that sometimes I get in trouble for paying it forward a little too much, because I provide free services for people that, can get paid from these services. I truly have the logic that it's enough money out here for all of us. And that is how I give my advice. That is how I move forward within my business. Within my contract for empowering you, there are certain things in there that say, you cannot tutor on the side, or, all of the right legalities that I feel like you're supposed to say with starting out a new business. But it was one of my tutors that came to me, and she was like, Janiece, I still want to work for you. You're an excellent boss, but I also want to see how I can do this on my own. And I was like, girl, pull out a pencil and a paper, because I'm ready to get started. And I told her, all of the things and the pitfalls that I fell through, because at the end of the day, the company that I ended up taking a client or two from, they're still going just fine. Now I'm going to still be going just fine. She's still going to work for me. And then eventually she's going to spread her wings as well. So through my networking and what I knew and the mistakes that I've made, because there are mistakes to be made, I help others, because I just feel like we can all win.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Has your thoughts of education changed since COVID-19?
Oh my goodness. When I saw that question, I was like, who's the student that wrote this one? Because that was such a good question. Absolutely. Absolutely. When I tell you guys, I cannot even fathom having to teach during this time and the creativity that you have to come up with. In Fulton County, we do something called simultaneous teaching, and that's when you are teaching remote, which means virtually, as well as face-to-face. So now imagine every issue that you can possibly think of, whether it is their cultural background, whether it is their financial background, whether it is a disability, because I'm a special educator. Now imagine doing that in both places and still being judged for how you teach. You are a person that had never heard of Teams a day in your life, because fun fact alert to all of us, Teams was something that Fulton County had already paid for years. And we were all like, oh, wait, this is a program? Okay, teach us, and we had to learn and we had to adapt. And being able to watch them just shows the superpowers that educators, I feel, have. Because you have to, with being a special educator, we have paperwork. We have data that we have to collect on the student, and Fulton County in particular is twice a week data collection. So for an example, they might be a third grader and they have a multiplication goal. So I have to teach that multiplication goal, assess that goal, as well as close the gap to get them to reach this goal, which is specially designed instruction, which is what I do. So you have a multiplication goal, but you don't know how to add or subtract with regrouping. You struggle with number sense. How can we get you from here all the way over to here? And then how can I do that? And you're virtual. And how can I do that with you're being virtual? Your sleeping habits are off because you're at home. Your mother is doing the best that she can. Your father is, out at work or may even be absent altogether, or you might be with grandmother. Both parents are absent. Grandma don't know how to get you on the computer. Oh, but I also have a class full of 10 that's here too. So I think that COVID has truly changed my entire scope. And I really feel like the world will never be the same again. Like as educators now, we joke and we say, we'll never receive a snow day, ever. I mean, the biggest and best thing that we can possibly receive is a power outage, because if there's anything that we can do at home, we're doing it at home. It was a recent storm and they, decided to have remote learning at home. That would have normally been a good old day for teachers to relax and students too. But they were like, no. So education as we know it, this is going to be our new normal. This is how we're going to continue. And the students are rising to the occasion. I think that's the thing that makes me most proud. Kids are resilient. And if we give them the tool, we see these babies now on TikTok learning all of the moves and putting their faces in the camera and back and, doing all types of things. Now, do that with your PowerPoint presentation. Now, instead of me saying, hey guys, here's your research project. These are the only 2 ways you can present either PowerPoint or Microsoft Word. Now you can bring in a Prezi. Now you can bring in a PAL Zoom and make a full video. Now you can make a TikTok and show me in a cool way in 59 seconds, or in 15 seconds, how can you teach me about Susan B. Anthony or teach me about economics or, whatever the case may be. Education will never be the same. And I say that in the most positive way I can, because we can talk about the negative aspects to it all day. Our data is down. Our data is not as accurate because it can't be done with as much fidelity. You have this baby that's at home that you gave a worksheet to, and all of a sudden this baby that was in the 5th grade reading on the kindergarten level just did a 8th grade assignment and got a 100. No way. That has never been you, but it's because your brother just helped you in the back write this stuff down. So it's some negative aspects, but if we're going to focus on the positives, like these teachers today are truly changing lives in multiple aspects, and the students are rising to the occasion.
That is amazing. Let's see, what else? So many questions were submitted. What do you think is the most important thing that it takes to become a business owner?
What is the most important thing? Wow. Okay, so that's an excellent question. I feel that the most important thing with becoming a business owner, and guys, this is gonna sound cheesy, and I feel like, as I said, I'm on the pageant for Miss USA or something like world peace. But I really feel like the most important aspect is passion. I feel like when you are passionate about what you're doing, and it is something that you have put your heart into, your blood, sweat, and tears into, and it's not just about the money for you, because entrepreneurship is hard. It is a slow process. You lose money before you make it. You want to give up. But when you have that passion, there's going to be nothing that stops you from making this business successful. You might have to navigate it in different ways and figure out how to get there. But that passion is going to continue to drive you in making those late night hours, making, you hitting the pavement and hitting the ground working, and those sleepless nights is going to make all of that worth it. And I think that if you have that first, somebody can help you with the business name. If you have that passion first, somebody can help you with forming the LLC, with getting you a logo, with all of those different, with helping you with a contract. That was something that was difficult for me. All of that stuff came to me because I first had that passion. So I think that that's the most important part.
I would say from my experience, confidence is going to be because a lot of people can have an idea, but
Yeah.
it takes confidence to act on that idea. It takes
Mm.
confidence when others don't see your vision, but you
Okay.
have a vision. So you're like, you know what? I get what you're saying, but I'm still going to
Yeah.
pursue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would probably have to go with confident, and then confidence to keep going even after you feel like you lost money,
Yeah.
or you made mistakes. Like it takes a lot of confidence because it's real easy to be like,
To
you
give
know,
it up.
it's not do that.
Yes, 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 it is. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Awesome.
I definitely think that's a good point. You got to have that confidence too, because it's just like you said, Professor Bass, there's going to be times where we just don't want to do it. I don't, I had a parent contact me for tutoring, and basically she didn't want tutoring. Her child had a research paper that was due this Friday, and she called me Tuesday. And she had the paper for weeks, but we're not going to get into that part. And she, was begging for our services. And in that moment, you had to kind of turn down some of that money. That's not what we do. We want to tutor. We want something that, we're just not reading over paper. So, I, as community service and giving back, I say, we'll do it. You can give us a love offering if you like. But let us know when you want to learn how to write that research paper. And now you won't have anybody that needs to read it for you. We are with you, guiding your child through it so they can have the confidence in knowing that they can write that paper. So I do feel like that passion, that confidence, like so many different aspects go hand in hand with forming that business, because it's so easy to give up on. It really is. So excellent point.
Have you used social media as a platform to expand empowering you education services?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram page as well as a Facebook page for Empowering You, not to mention the website. I use those as important features just to get it out to the masses, for parents to see what the tutors are doing. So I do a tutor spotlight for, parents to see that what the students are accomplishing. So I might spotlight a student as well, to say, thanks to Empowering You, this baby went from reading, 2 sight words to 200. So that's how I use that social media platform to get my name out there.
Okay. Let's go with the last question.
What you got for me?
How do you manage your entrepreneurship as well as your full-time career?
Wow. I would love a clone. I would love a person that can be in 2 places at one time. But I manage it through organization skills, through a few sleepless nights, but basically through prioritizing and organization. I think that in certain moments, I might not be able to reach that parent on the Empowering You side because I have multiple meetings within my career. But I see, oh my goodness, this is a parent that just had a quick question. I can get to them at this time, and scheduling out my day for sure. Today, for an example, I had 4 different meetings, and I wanted to, of course, make time for this. So I had to move a few things around, and then Empowering You ended up popping up. So instead of taking my lunch today, I ended up going out and handling that. So I just think that organization is going to be key. Time management is going to be key as well. I am a night owl, but sometimes me being a night owl, last night I stayed up to 3:41. That was the last time I looked at the clock. Then makes for a less productive day because I walked in literally like a zombie and super tired, but I was up doing things for the business And that was the time that was able to prioritize my business, and, I'll sleep later on. So that is the hard part. I want to be the person, y'all, where I can truly take a leap of faith and be that person that leaves my career. But my truth is, if you want me to just kind of keep it really real, I have a very flexible job, and I can't imagine during this tutoring thing while I was an educator. Um, people ask, like even you asked today, how did you get here? And I honestly have to pay it to my new job. I have a boss that values self-care. She values turning off your laptop at 4:01. Your work is over. And as an educator, I did not have a healthy work-life balance. I would spend a night at the school, be there all types of nights, trying to get things ready for my lessons. They didn't have anybody like me at the time, because we're the first in this position. So I did not have that special education coach to help me get through it. I was there alone, and tutoring was the last thing on my mind. Like, I couldn't even imagine it. I got into a new job. They value work-life balance, and I was able to put more things on my plate. So I can say that one pitfall that I'm kind of following through right now is I have a job that I'm very comfortable at. It's a job I can walk in, do with my eyes closed, help 3-4 teachers move on to here, but it's also a job that helps me with my business. So do you increase in your career and possibly get something that's a little bit more difficult, and then your business possibly falling because you're learning something new and your time is lacking, and you might not have a boss that has a good, healthy work-life balance, or continue to do what you know how to do and add on something else because you can do this with your eyes closed. So that's where, I'm battling in between, and I can't even answer how to do that properly. But right now I have to attest my balance comes from that prioritizing, but it also comes because I have a job that is just not as challenging anymore.
Okay, so everything just kind of fell in line. It wasn't so much a plan, I'm going to start a business.
Yep.
Was as you advanced in your career, new opportunities presented themselves.
Absolutely.
And now you're here.
And new time presented itself. I would get off of work and go, oh my God. So this is what sunlight looks like, because as an educator, I was spending the night, and not seeing that, and not having that boss, that cared about what else I was doing or my mental health. And now I have a boss that just sent us a text 20 minutes ago while I was on this call. That's why I looked down, that said, hey guys, what have you done for yourself today? That's amazing. So that makes me want to be that boss in the future, so again, another ally, riding for us, and just, kind of helping us see the importance of this work from this time to this time, but what are you doing for you? And empowering you is my you. And that's what I'm doing for me.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your business and everything that's going on. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to answer the questions that my students submitted.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And go Blazers.
Yay, go Blazers!
Everything class, a little bit about my history with Ms. Benefield. We are both members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated by way of the Zeta chapter at PSU.
Yeah.
I saw leadership skills in Janiece before she was able to identify her leadership skills. So I came in before her, but we met back in 2007.
Yes.
And have been attached to the hip since then. So that is one of the benefits of networking while you're in school, making sure you get to know people. You never know where you're going to be in the future. You never know who's going to be able to help you. You just never know. So finding those key relationships and working towards, like, understanding other people. I always have a running joke with Janiece. I'm from the country. I call her a city girl. And so I have
running joke with her when she's trying to heavily influence me on different things. I'm like, but you from the city, so it's a little bit different from the country. Like you gotta be.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's just been an amazing friendship, and just she's given me access to her network. I've given her access to my network, and it's a great experience. And this is the epitome of what social capital is, but in particular, what Black social capital is. Thank you again. You helping my class today.
Yes, thank you guys. Feel free to reach out to me in any type of way. My email address is empoweringYouEducationServices@gmail. And that is also the website, adding LLC at the end and .com. So contact us for tutoring needs, but also feel free to contact me as the owner if you just need any type of assistance. This is so awesome. Thank you, Professor Bass, for having me. Bye, guys.
All right, I just ended the recording.
Woo!
How do you feel?
That was good. How do you feel?
Good. I mean, it's gonna do great.
Yay. I tried to show a bit of my personality while remaining professional. That when I hit them with, you know what I'm saying, this money out here for all of us. I didn't want to